Hello friends and neighbors, fellow musicians, welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about modes. I was watching a YouTube earlier today and the Mixolydian mode came up and and I started looking at that and I thought, I really need to review the modes, and because it's such a source of confusion. And so this is going to be kind of an impromptu video. I wasn't planning on it, but I thought, this is something I need to do. So grab a cup of coffee. This could be a long one. And I got my tea, my Earl Grey, and we're going to delve into the modes. So let me kind of back up a little bit and tell you, how I got started with the modes. It was, like everybody else, watching videos and whatnot, and then I started teaching it, to my students, and some of my students that I had, were real guitar geeks, kind of like me. So, we would, I would study with somebody, some instructor, get the whole thing down, teach it to them, and then we'd watch more videos and come back, and then we would be all confused all over again. So then we would learn a different method. And so, hey, if you guys are fall into that category, leave me a comment. Tell me your experience, okay? But modes is kind of one of those things. First you have it, then you don't, then you think you have it, and then it doesn't work, and then you go back and you watch another video, and then you become more confused. And especially if you're just kind of learning, flying by the seat of your pants and learning, and trying to just get a grasp of it. It can be really difficult. And once you have this down, like they say in music, the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know. And this is typical, especially for me. It's like so many good guitar players out there. And it's like I'm just an average guy just trying to tread water here. But I think I can pass something along to you as far as this goes that may help you. So the first thing, like with modes, that you're going to run into, okay, and if you already kind of know the modes, you're going to have fun with this because you've seen this before. So the first thing that you'll run across with modes is this. I'm going to do a G major scale. They'll say, okay, if you do that right there, starting with your first note, that's Ionian. If you start on the second note, that's Dorian, okay, and then Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, okay. So you can kind of do that, but it does kind of have a modal effect, okay. Now the next thing you'll run into, and this really makes a lot of sense. You can also think of modes as like thinking of the key of the song and kind of working backwards, okay? That kind of worked for me for a while too, okay? And that still is a real legitimate way to do things. So say, for example, if you have, what if we're playing, like, say, an A minor to a G? So now we're thinking of the song's tonal center, okay? So maybe it's going G, or A minor to G. Okay, and I'm going to play a backing track. So most guys, including me, for like the longest time, I would just play like an A minor scale. Let me do this. I'm going to get this chord progression going, and I'll play it for you. Okay, so that works. But what you can do is you can kind of think modal and think, okay, well, this could be in the key of G, okay? And so that's A minor, that's the second. If I harmonize the G major scale, Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, okay, and then we have Locrian up here. It's going to be, this one's always hard to play. And then back to your G. So again, harmonizing the major scale is a good thing to know. You probably really should work on that, okay? So we could say that that's A Dorian. That's, so you're going to hear that a lot. People go, oh, it's A Dorian, okay? If I was to say it was A Phrygian it would be an F. It would be in the key of F. Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian. Okay, and I'll kind of go over that for you in a minute. So we're thinking A Dorian. Okay, so A Dorian, Ionian, Dorian is the key of G. Okay, so hang in there with me on this because it gets better. Okay, so now let's play the same backing track, and we're going to play in the key of G. Okay, so you can kind of see that. I'm not going to play these leads too long because this is going to be a long video anyways. Okay, so you can kind of see how that works. Okay, so and then you hear a lot of the Mixolydian scale. Okay, and that's kind of where we're gonna jump into this here. That's what kind of started this whole video today because you're always watching stuff and you'll see it and you're like, okay, I gotta put my thinking cap on and remember this again. So kind of like another school of thought that you may have run into, is you're going to get like a list of all the modes and they'll tell you flat this, sharp that, flat this, like a Mixolydian is like a flatted seventh scale. Okay, that one's pretty easy, and then I had them all memorized at one time, flat this, flat that, and it's like, but if you don't do it for like 3 months or 6 months, you can't remember it. And now you have all those scales you have to walk around and remember all those scales in your head. Okay, so that's why what I'm going to show you here is so much easier, because if you know your major scales, you know your modes. Okay, so, and again, what started me doing this is because I was running across a video where it was like a C Mixolydian. So here's a C major scale, and I'm going to show you something, then we'll kind of go through it so I can show you how it works. So you're playing in the key of C. Okay, that's your C major scale. Okay, now if the song goes to F, the key of C, it's not going to work because of the F chord. Okay, if you want to play a Mixolydian scale, is like what a lot of people play. Okay, when it goes to the F. Okay. So in the key of C, you could be playing a C major scale. If it goes to a C7, you may be playing a C Mixolydian. So here's a 7. Or when it goes to the F. Okay, so you could remember C Mixolydian, okay, because it's just a C major scale. And so instead of the major seventh, you have a flatted seventh, okay. Okay, so that's your C Mixolydian. Okay, so that's kind of confusing to remember. Then if you think you have all the other modes too, okay. And again, like I said, that's kind of what started this whole thing, because I know how to do it a different way. So, and so like when I think this way, I get a little bit confused, because now I'm like, where is that the F? Because you don't want the major, you want the seventh, okay? You want the flatted seventh, okay? So here's how you can look at this, okay? So okay, first you need to know your modes. So let's go. Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, and Locrian. Okay. The memory trick I use, I learned this somewhere along the way. It's if Dora plays like me, all is lost. Okay. That's how I memorize them. And you can kind of think of it like, and I'm gonna start on F. Okay, we're gonna go. We got Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian. Okay. And then we have Aeolian, Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, Locrian, E minor 7 flat 5, and then back to F major 7th, okay? So you have to ask yourself, C, if you're going to play like a C Mixolydian scale, you just have to ask yourself, what is C? What is C the 5th of? Okay, it's the 5th degree. Okay, because normally that's the 5 chord. That's the 7th. That's the Mixolydian. So bear with me if this is getting confusing real quick here, but you'll get this after we go through a few more. Okay, so so basically, long story short, let me show you this. C Mixolydian is the same thing as an F. That's why we're going through this. Okay, watch. So here's Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian is C. Okay. So Mixolydian mode is an F scale, F major. Okay, so that's what I'm saying at the beginning. If you know your major scales, now watch. I'm going to play an F major scale. Okay, now that's position 1, okay? This is why you have to know all your scales up and down the neck. Now here's 2. Guess what that is? That's the C Mixolydian scale. If you can, so you can think of it like this. You can think of it as C major scale, flatted 7th, flatted 7th, and here we are, right? So see, that confused me like when I first did this, even doing this, but since I know that C Mixolydian is an F, okay? Now it's easy because here's my F major scale. So I could play C. Now here's the good thing about it, okay? Now, since we're thinking this way, could you imagine going up and down the neck and flatting all the 7ths of all your scale positions? See, that's where it gets to be totally overwhelming. But now, since we know that it's an F scale, look at now I can play here. There it is again, because I'm thinking of an F major scale here. See, we could call all these C Mixolydian if we wanted to, okay? So you can see all of a sudden, boom, you know, we went from 0 to 90, okay? And so it's just a matter of playing them in the different positions, okay? So where's another F scale? We have F here. We did this one here. Oops. Here. Okay, so you know that works as the Mixolydian. Okay, so you know, so much easier than just going like this. Oh, I gotta flat the 7th. I gotta flat the 7th. Okay, so that takes like a lot of thinking, and if you're just thinking F major scale, now you're playing C Mixolydian. Okay. So now let's do another one, okay? So that's Ionian. Let's do, so again, I'm going to go this way. So with the mode, so you can write this down. This is like a little list that I make for myself so I don't get confused. So with modes, you know, you ask yourself, C is the 5th of what? Okay, it's kind of like doing doing algebra back in, you know, back in the, you know, in the high school days when you were doing math and algebra and all that, you know. So you just have to say C is the 5th of what? And again, you could do it this way. You could go C, there's F right there. Okay, C is the 5th of F. Okay, and that one's easy because, you know, Mixolydian is the most common. You've got your 1, your 4, and your 5, okay? So So, and again, with the mixolydians, if you're like a total beginner, I mean, with the modes, if you're a total beginner, we have, we have the 3 major modes, and we have the 3 minor modes, and then there's the minor 7th flat 5, which is kind of an oddball. Okay, so let's do one more. So, how about if someone says like A Dorian? Okay, an example of an A Dorian. So again, you have to ask yourself. A minor is the Dorian mode of what key, which is G, okay? So if somebody says, like one thing, like if somebody says, okay, I play a Dorian mode, you have to know what key you're in, okay? So that's why you'll hear people saying, okay, I'm playing A minor Dorian, okay? A minor Dorian. So that would be G. Because look at here's Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, okay, and then minor 7 flat 5, Locrian, and then back to our G. Okay, so now, so A minor Dorian, okay, so now I've got this track program for this, I'm going to show this for you. So most guys, including me for like a lot of years, used to just, okay, you would look at this, say the song is doing this. Kind of sounds like that Santana song. And Carlos Santana did this a lot. Okay, that's why his lead sounds so amazing, because he's not just playing a pentatonic. So like a lot of us, including me, for many years would just play minor pentatonic, and it sounds okay. And watch, I'll play this for you. Here's the G. So here's A minor pentatonic. I'm not going to play very long for the sake of length on this video. Okay, so sorry if that was kind of a crappy lead. Okay, so now to make it A Dorian, we know it's key of G. Okay, so A Dorian. So you could go, okay, A, and then whatever Dorian mode is, flat this, sharp that, flat this, whatever. You'll get the little formulas, right? So you could try to do it that way. So, and I've done this before and it works. I mean, you could sit here and go, okay, here's an A major scale. You could do that, okay? And then you could get the little chart will tell you sharp this, flat that, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if there's any sharps in there or whatever, but I'm just kind of making this up, okay? It'll give you the formula. So then you can sit there and work around this A major scale and plug in all the notes and come up with the A Dorian scale. But you know what? It's the exact same thing as a G major scale. See, so you don't have to do all that. So now, look what happens if I just think of a G major scale. It's an A Dorian scale. But all I was doing there was just playing G major scales up and down the neck, okay? And you do have to, and you're still, want to play around the chords and the little triads. So, this kind of just adds, since we're just kind of focusing on modes, I'm just kind of sticking with the scales. But, if you're, really, want to make it sound good, you have to kind of follow the chords. And that's why I just have a couple chords on this thing here, okay? So. So I can play that G major scale. Okay, Okay, so that's giving me, the A minor Dorian mode. Okay, so or A Dorian. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. So let's do another one. Let's do. What about if we had to play A minor Phrygian? Okay, and again you could go Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian. Okay, you could kind of do it that way. So Phrygian is the third step in harmonizing the scale. And again, you can ask yourself, A minor Phrygian mode comes from what scale? Okay, so again, if we go F, Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian. Okay, so again, you could go back and start with an A major scale. Okay, and you could go on the internet and look up the formulas for what a Phrygian scale is. And it will tell you what the sharp and flat and all this kind of stuff. And then you can memorize it here and say, now I know my Phrygian scale, but it's basically an F major scale. Okay, so A minor Phrygian is F. Okay, now watch, I'm going to play this song again, and I'm going to play F, and we're going to get kind of a Phrygian mode now. Different backing track. Okay, now we're going to play just with the A minor. So it kind of gives you the idea. Okay, so again, hopefully you're seeing what's going on. We're just thinking of F. Let's do the next one. So what about if we were going to play A minor Locrian? This one here is where it gets really weird. So you notice that the Phrygian isn't that popular, and neither is the Locrian. You're going to see why, though. We already kind of seen why Phrygian isn't that popular. It's really strange sounding. You got to really land on the right notes, and maybe even like pick chord tones to land on. Locrian is the minor 7th flat 5, okay? And that one's kind of easy to come up with, though. So let me show you what happens here. We're going to do, we're going to harmonize the B flat scale, okay? Because I want you to see this. So here's Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, okay? Aeolian, Locrian is right here. See, there's the A, Locrian, and then guess what? We end up back to C major 7th, or the B flat major 7th. But see how the Locrian mode is just one step below? So that one's pretty easy because all you have to do is you just have to say, okay, the Locrian mode, and here's your B flat, or here's your A, and there's your B flat, okay? So you can just say that this is A. So A Locrian is just going to be a half step below the major key, is what I'm saying, okay? So which would be B flat. Okay, so A Locrian is going to be B flat. Okay, so now I'm going to play this again now. Locrian sounds really strange, so and again, it might be good to maybe land on some chord tones, but you'll see how it sounds and why it's probably not used a whole lot. It does sound really cool, though, and I'll show you here in a few minutes. Because remember, that's an A minor 7th flat 5, and I think it's that flat 5 that kind of throws it off. But if you play this against an A minor 7 flat 5, it actually sounds really good, and I'll show you that in a minute. But first I'm going to play just against the A minor. That was really kind of a lousy example, but that's what the Locrian mode sounds like. Okay, so that's against the B minor. Then the Aeolian mode is the most popular, and again that would be like the C major scale. Let's just kind of go through it just to look at it though. Okay, so again you're thinking A minor Aeolian. So if we take C, Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, and then here we are, right here, Aeolian, then Locrian, and then back to our C. So, Aeolian is a C major scale. Okay, so let's play this and you can see what that sounds like. So you see how that works, okay? So the cool thing about this too is that, you know, if the song is staying like just like on a minor chord, you can actually kind of shift the modes and kind of play around that as well, okay? So now let's do some of the major modes, okay? The major modes, you just have your Ionian and the Mixolydian and the Lydian. So so the first one we're going to play is going to be A Mixolydian, okay? So again, you have to ask yourself, so A is the 5 of what, or it's the mix, or what, where is A Mixolydian and when you harmonize a major scale, okay? So A is the 5 of D, but let's just go through and do D just for the fun of it so you can see it. Okay. Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, which is A. So basically, A is the Mixolydian mode in D. So you're going to be playing a D major scale in A, okay? see how that gives you like that Mixolydian sound, okay? So again, it just kind of takes a little bit of thinking ahead of time to do this. So let's do the last one. So now to do Lydian. Okay, so the example that I made up is to play a Lydian, you ask yourself, A is the 4 of what scale, okay? So A is the 4 of E. And let's do the E major scale. Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, and here's Lydian. Okay, so now to get an A Lydian sound, again, you could go back and memorize the A Lydian scale, okay? But this is so much easier. You're just going to play an E major scale. Okay, so let's play this and see what it sounds like. Here we go, E major scale. Almost like you have to land on a note. Okay, so then that ends up being the Lydian mode. Okay, so okay, we've gone way long on this, so hopefully that will clear. Hopefully I didn't totally just make that a gigantic mess, since this wasn't like really rehearsed that much. But and I think I have a diagram of the major scales, and I think I did a video. If you look under my Johnny Smith, this is also going to be in the advanced category. So I did like a whole thing where I run through all the major scales. So you know, if you've stumbled across this, you know, and you don't have your major scales, this is a good place to start learning your major scales. So you want to know your pentatonic scales up and down the neck, the major scales, and then of course, you know, all your triads, but your triad inversions, because that will really help you pull everything together. So if you do it this way, just use your major scales and figure out, you know, if the song has figure out the key of the song first, okay? And then, because it may have like a different tonal center, like a song could do this. It could have a B minor. Okay, so some songs it's not quite so obvious, you know, what key they're in. So some songs are just in a mode just all by themselves because it has a modal, a tonal center that's already in a mode. Like Sweet Home Alabama is a good one, okay? When you hear Sweet Home Alabama, it's going D, C to G, okay? And if you start playing the key of D, like some people, you know, and I actually did this once a long time ago, it's like I started playing it in D, and it's like, oh, that song is not in the key of D. So if you play a G major scale or G major pentatonic is what they're playing, it gives it a Mixolydian mode because it has that D tonal center, okay? So that's kind of another way that to look at it that kind of adds to the confusion. Okay, so again, major scales, you know, ask yourself, you know, where it occurs, you know, in the mode, you know, and then, you know, then you can kind of pick and choose. Like I said, I'll put the diagram of the modes up there. You know, it's not very often I think that, you know, when you're improvising, at least not for me. I know that the really super good musicians here probably can do it on the fly. You know, and like the little Mixolydian one you can do really easy on the fly. That one's pretty easy just to do the flat 7. The Aeolian mode I do all the time because if you think of a of a C major scale. C major pentatonic. It's really easy to turn that. It's really easy to turn that one in. You know, if you're playing an A, you can play that C major on the fly. Do that one. So I mean, really, you know, and even Tim Pierce was saying this, like, you know, and he learned this, you know, from a lot of the top guys. He was saying, like, in the modes, you're really only using like 3 main modes, anyways. You know, which I think he said was the Ionian, and probably Dorian is really popular, but definitely Mixolydian and Aeolian. Okay, so you know, you can get by with doing those really easy, just kind of memorizing and seeing where they're at. You know, but if you really want to have an understanding, go through this with me and just kind of see where all those fit. You know, get your, you know, major scales down, harmonize the major scale, and then, you know, get a backing track on a certain you know, certain key or whatever, and run through all the scales, see what different modes you can play it in. Okay, now I want to show you how the Locrian mode sounds with the A minor 7th flat 5. So maybe like with the A minor, we'll play Aeolian, and then then on the A minor 7th flat 5 we'll do the Locrian. And I'm going to do G majors. This is Dorian playing a G major. Okay, now I'll play a Phrygian F. Now I'm going to play a B major scale against this. Okay, so you can kind of see what happens there. That was I plugged in A minor, and then I did an A minor 7th flat 5, and then over the minor 7th flat 5 I played the Locrian scale over that, and it fit much better because you had that flat 5 actually in the chord. And again, you know, so that's kind of the extent of my knowledge on it, you know. And I know there's probably, you know, like I was saying, you know, the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know. But this is kind of my simple way of grasping this and getting it in my head so it doesn't drive me crazy. You know, so hopefully this will be of some help for you. I hope it does. You know, feel free to leave a comment, you know, with any, you know, any suggestions or anything like that, or any observances you've had. But hopefully this will clear up a little bit for you. You know, and the only thing with this is you got to do it a lot. You got to just kind of go through it, and you know, which I have obviously happened today because it was kind of spur of the moment. But you know, it's always good to go through and revisit them and try to understand it when modes come up, because I promise you they won't go away, and they are cool. I mean, you can really use them when you put them in your songs. Again, you got to use them and then still be thinking of the chord shapes in your triads, which I wasn't really doing on this, you know. So that will help them sound better too. Okay, so anyways, folks, thank you so much for putting up with this impromptu video, and hopefully it wasn't too disorganized. Thank you for putting up with me on this. The next video will be more planned, hopefully. So, okay, guys, thank you so much. Feel free to subscribe if you don't hate me after this, and love to have you. And have a great day and have fun with those modes. Catch you later. Bye-bye.